What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Welcome to the Positions on Sports Talk Show post live streaming on Facebook Live and our Positions on Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans from the perspective of the fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports. This is our Power Play Fantasy Football Show. Every Thursday night, we come at you at 7:30. We will discuss all the news and picks from around the world of fantasy football. We will give you our opinions and advice on the most popular players, trades, starters, and who you should put on your bench. My name is Professor J. I am joined this evening by my post fantasy all pros. What's going on, Jay Wills?
Doing pretty good. I don't know about all pro. I went 0 from 13 from the line. So I need some off-season work right now, but it's happy to be here, my man.
I feel you, brother, but I know you can hold your own. What's cooking, Sense?
Once again, it's on. What's popping, fellas?
Yes, sir. We ready to do this thing tonight. Nice and tight.
Yes,
All right. We are trying to work on up the excitement for tonight, y'all, because y'all know there's been a plethora of injuries and it still got us down. But we be all right. The energy is up. And of course, I won this weekend, so I'm feeling good. So let's convince some folks tonight to modify their lineups. So tonight we have those injury reports, fantasy news shorts. We got the top dogs, the sleepers, the quick hits, the quiet storm, the closers. And of course, we got that man Sense here to tell us who we should start and who we should sit. So let's get it, fellas. So we're going to start off with you, Jay Wills. Go ahead and take us through that injury report and fantasy news.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I guess somebody has to do it. So just hold on for Sense's segment. It will be a lot smoother during his, but right now I'm going to bring your fantasy squad a lot of pain. We're going to kick it off with Julio Jones, hamstring. He did not practice today. So if you own Julio Jones, you might want to keep an eye out on exactly what's going on with the Falcons. One, they took a embarrassing loss. They should have won. So they're probably beating themselves up mentally as well as physically. Moving on, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas, Saints wideout Michael Thomas, ankle was absent from Thursday's practice. So just like Julio, if you own Michael Thomas, you might want to keep an eye on him. He was not at practice today.
Yeah, he on the bench. I got him.
We benching a lot of top starters, man. Chris Hogan, limited in Thursday practice. Again, that's Mr. Chris Hogan, wide receiver Chris Hogan, that is, will remain limited at practice Thursday. So he was limited in practice. You could expect to possibly see him on the field. Will he be at 100% and get that production you used to? Probably not. So choose your players wisely. Deontay Johnson, his toe has been giving him trouble. He did practice in full today, but the toe injuries, they kind of up and down. If he gets out there tomorrow, he could tweak it. So make sure you keep your eyes on that. Juju Smith-Schuster.
No.
He remains absent from Thursday's practice. This still isn't considered to be a major issue for the Steelers, and it remains likely that Smith-Schuster plays against the Texans this weekend. A.J. Brown, knee, not practicing again this Thursday. Brown actually hasn't practiced at all this week after missing week 2 with a knee injury. Unless he can practice in some fashion on Friday, it's looking likely that A.J. Brown will miss this weekend's game. John Brown, limited in practice as well Thursday. Bills wide receiver John Brown was added to the injury report on Thursday and practiced in a very limited fashion. Once again, keep your eye on these guys. Most of these guys are not guaranteed to be out, but they may be slowed down. So fantasy owners, make sure you're checking in day by day. Philip Lindsay, he didn't practice this Thursday. Devontae Adams, wide receiver Devontae Adams for the Green Bay Packers. He didn't practice this Thursday. That makes 2 straight days in a row. He may be able to go Sunday. Do you want to start him? Holla at Sense and Professor J. Steven Sims returns to practice Thursday. He was listed as limited limited all week. He did practice the majority of the practice. Sims has 6 receptions on 7 targets for 103 yards and no touchdowns across the 2 games.
Is that why he was putting the ball on the ground?
Something's going on. He's getting targets. He's got a few yards, but I do believe he may be a bit banged up. Speaking of banged up, AJ Green says he feels like he's almost back in game shape. If you've been paying attention to ESPN, Fox Sports, they have been discussing whether or not you should drop AJ Green because his numbers haven't been necessarily the best, but he's been targeted like an elite receiver, so they expect him to catch on towards the end of the year. So holler at Sense and Professor J.
Might not be an end of the year. He better come on now.
Moving on to Mr. Jack Dole. He's dealing with both an ankle and a knee injury. So that's his whole left side, if you ask me. He was back at Thursday's practice, but you may want to keep your eye on that young man as well. DJ Clark Jr. Ruled out Thursday night. He didn't play, so you might want to keep an eye on him. Josh Jacobs, his hip not spotted at Thursday's practice at all. Jacobs did not practice Wednesday as well. The Raiders just played on Monday night. The team could cautiously be giving him another day off. Fantasy owners should monitor his practice participation on Friday. Double check on your man tomorrow. George Kittle. Tight end George Kittle is dealing with a bone bruise on the same knee as his MCL sprain. So not only does he have the MCL sprain, but now he's dealing with a bone bruise as well. He's
Jordan Reed.
I'm telling you, he's going to step up. And I think, didn't Jordan Reed catch a touchdown pass?
Yeah.
He showed up. Yeah. He got talent. He's going to try to play Sunday's week 3 game against the Giants. But he was very, very limited in practice. And with that bone bruise, you just don't know exactly how he's going to be able to operate with those fast twitch muscles come Sunday.
Hey, look, Jay Wills, he about to have an ego bruise because if Jordan Reed can stay healthy and he keep playing like he doing, he might not really rush to get back. They probably be like, nah, just take your time, son.
Hold that clipboard.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Jordan Reed is hungry. He went through the injury bug himself. He may be smarter on this side of his injuries. Being traded to another team, he probably focused more and putting in more work inside the weight room. So they better watch out. He is a top athlete when he's healthy. The boy can put up legit numbers. So you're right. I might want to pick him up myself.
Not if I get him first.
Might want to.
You see, we take our own advice, ladies and gentlemen, on this show too.
Yeah, I see what just happened. That's why you keep your dreams and your goals to yourself. You don't tell.
Yeah.
Moving on, gentlemen. Sammy Watkins, he enters concussion protocol. John Jenkins lands on the IR. I think this is the 3 to 5 week variety. Yes. Thursday, he will be eligible to return for week 6. The Bears signed Daniel McCullers for defensive line depth. So check your defensive squads, gentlemen. Zach Moss did not practice today. This is Bills rookie running back, Zach Moss. Didn't practice for the 2nd consecutive day. Might want to keep your eye on your man. Oliver Vernon missed practice Thursday dealing with a hip injury. Vernon was injured in the opening game versus the Ravens and hasn't seen the field since. He's listed as questionable for Sunday's game against Washington. Please don't play. Adrian Claiborne. Cleveland Browns defensive lineman Adrian Claiborne is not practicing Thursday. Excuse me. He's dealing with a hip injury. Moving on. Got quite a few, y'all. I truly do apologize. Trayvon Diggs. Dallas Cowboys rookie cornerback Trayvon Diggs. Depending on who your defensive is, or if you even using defense in your league, you might want to check on your man. Defense took part. He took part in individual drills Thursday and hopes to play Sunday versus Seattle. Wide receiver Kenny Golladay is a go again for Thursday's practice. He reportedly is expected to play Sunday's Week 3 matchup against the Cardinals. Alshon Jeffrey could possibly return in the next few weeks. They didn't pinpoint when exactly that is. That could be January 3rd, fellas. I don't know, but he's expected to return sometime in the next few weeks.
I'm sure Wentz will be happy for that.
Absolutely. He needs him bad. Christian Kirk Our Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Christian Kirk was not seen at practice Thursday. He's expected to play. A lot of these guys, they may be out to just, trying to rest up a little bit. It doesn't help us any. I just have to report the information. A lot of them are expected to play, resting up, trying to get their bodies right. So move with caution and make sure you're checking these personal sites and ESPN and whatnot on individuals who are reporting this on a regular basis.
Shout out.
Absolutely. Brashard Perryman, Jets wide receiver Brashard
Boo.
Perryman, that is. He didn't practice on Thursday. He injured his ankle week 2 against the 49ers, and he's considered week to week. Jamison Crowder also appears unlikely to play this Sunday.
Which your man says.
Tough out here, Seth. It's tough, bro.
It's tough. It's hard out here.
It's tough, man. But that opens up opportunity for Braxton Berrios. I probably destroyed that last name, but he'll probably be forced into the number 1 spot.
Well, you.
There you go.
Hey, Reg, I'm telling you, Reg, I'm about to pass out. I take a breath. I need a TV timeout. I need a Gatorade.
I told him it'll probably be a 2-hour segment on that alone.
I need it in a
J3 was here, be like flag on the play.
I'm telling you, slow down, Jay Wheels. I'm trying to, bro. I am trying to. DeMarcus Walker, the Denver Broncos are placing defensive end DeMarcus Walker on short-term injury with a calf injury. Man, this IR list is getting tough. Mark Bernard placed on injured reserve. Malcolm Brown, he didn't practice Wednesday. It's a finger injury. He was spotted on the sidelines today, so he's expected to play, but check back with his squad. Cam Akers, he didn't practice Wednesday, was sidelined for Wednesday's practice. He left Sunday's game against the Eagles after just rushing for three attempts. He was diagnosed with separated cartilage in his rib. That actually sounds pretty painful, so I don't know if I would expect him on the field. Duke Johnson, ankle, he was limited Wednesday, but he's expected to play. Same thing with Cole Beasley. Jerry Jeudy, ribs, limited on Wednesday as well. He is expected to serve as the Broncos' number 1 wideout still, with Cortland Sutton now done for the season. I repeat, Cortland Sutton is now done for the season. Devontae Parker, hamstring. He's taken off week 3 injuries report, though. Will Fuller, not listed on Texans injury report. Expect to see him on the field. Justin Herbert, who was injured last week. Expect to see him on the field this week. Elandon Roberts was on concussion protocol. Seems to be cleared, got past waivers, and he will be active against the Jaguars. Byron Jones had a groin Achilles injury. He's ruled out versus the Jaguars. Fletcher Cox could miss week 3 versus Bengals. You're going to want to check in with Eagles defensive tackle Fletcher Cox. He's dealing with an oblique injury. Those can be up and down. And hopefully this is the last page. John Lambo ruled out for Thursday Night Football. John Lambo will not be playing tonight. I love that last name. Mm-hmm. Drew Lock, Broncos not placing QB on injured reserve. According to James Palmer of NFL Network, the Broncos believe there is a chance Lock could return sooner than the 3 games that comes with IR. While it also wouldn't be surprising and he was forced to miss more than 3 games, they don't want to eliminate the possibility of him returning sooner. Jeff Driscoll, though, gets to start at QB in this week. Deshaun Jackson, Jeff Driscoll, he's probably owned on 1% of all teams.
0.1.
But you got to put him out there. You never know what people making their teams up with, so got to throw that out there. The old Washington favorite, Deshaun Jackson, he sits out practice. He's doing a little bit of load management. He better ask Kawhi Leonard about that. Jalen Reagor expected to land on injured reserve with UCL tear and thumb.
Dang, Philly.
I'm telling you. James White, he took a personal day, was not spotted at practice. I expect to see him on the field. Hopefully, everything is okay with his family. Nick Mullins, likely to start week 3 for the injured Jimmy Garoppolo. That's Nick Mullins. Mullens.
Right.
Did you have something to say since I thought you raised?
Oh no, I was just holding up the L because
I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Tevin Coleman, not the R&B singer you grew up with. According to 49. That's Kel Campbell, by the way. According to 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan, Tevin Coleman's knee sprain is worse than Raheem Moister's, and he'll land on the IR this week. Man, likely to miss 4 weeks. Tyrod Taylor. Now, this man's story deserves a segment all of his own.
Yeah.
I think you all said you want to touch on it a little bit later, but he's advised by the doctors not to play indefinitely. He was supposed to be getting a shot. I think he had rib injuries, was supposed to be getting a shot to help numb the pain in the rib area, which is already dangerous enough, but he was going to press his way on the field. Nonetheless, in the midst of them going to give him the shot, the doctor actually punctured his lung, which means he will be out indefinitely. I see lawsuit all over this. I don't know how it's between player and doctor and team and how that all that affects one another, but I know I would be in an uproar and super upset if the doctor took away my ability to play when I was coming there and in there for a shot to play through injury. That's a lot to deal with. Chidobe Awuzie definitely destroyed that, dealing with multi-week injury. Christian McCaffrey officially placed on IR, ladies and gentlemen. McCaffrey has been placed on injured reserve due to a high ankle sprain.
That's the 3 to 5 week one, right?
Yeah, they said multiple weeks.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. You guys are spot on. Solomon Thomas, ACL, placed on IR for the season. Nick Bosa, placed on season-ending injured reserve. San Fran 49ers star defensive end Nick Bosa has been placed on season-ending IR with a torn ACL. Chris Goodwin, had a concussion earlier during the week, but he was back at practice this Wednesday, so he checked out with the concussion protocol. Sterling Shepard toe. Absolutely, I'm happy for the man. Sterling Shepard toe placed on IR.
Man, he always got something going on.
A lot of them, man. D Ford expected to miss week 3.
They gonna need him. Woo.
Yes, they are. Philip Dorsett lands on IR. Man, Cortland Sutton, as we stated earlier, ACL injury placed on IR.
Dunzo.
Paris Campbell, he also has a knee injury. Indianapolis Colts wide receiver, he's placed on IR.
Soon as I picked him up, he got hurt.
Saquon Barkley, the strongest knees in the world, has suffered an ACL injury. Something's wrong about that picture right there.
Yeah. But remember, Adrian Peterson had a couple of them. So if there's any proof that a strong running back with that style can come back, Adrian Peterson is that guy.
That's a very good point. You think we can expect him as early as first game next season? I mean, it's rather early.
Because it happened so early. I think he'll be ready for next season.
I got a feeling that he's going to reach out to AP too. You know, AP will reach out to him.
That would be wise too. That would be wise. I hope AP, he's an OG in the game now. Hopefully he shows some loves and give the man
he will. He will, for sure.
Jonathan Abram.
Hold up, can we park right there real quick?
Absolutely.
You know he got legal trouble, but Darius Geis is still out there unsigned. And if the Giants want to salvage their season,
they might want to.
Right. You think they might take a flyer on him.
However,
if he doesn't get suspended.
I was about to say, if he clears, whatever he needs to clear NFL-wise, if they don't suspend him a couple of games, that would be a good pickup.
On top of the issues he had in college, because I remember we touched on this a little bit on one of our shows a couple of weeks ago. On top of the issues he had at college, the current legal issues, would it be smart to sign this guy up? You think they'll be taking the risk, picking up guys?
The other risk is he might not be able to stay healthy a full season. I mean, there is that too.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
It was just a thought. I don't think nobody going to touch him, though.
I agree with you. Jonathan Abram, Las Vegas Raiders. I'm still getting used to saying that. Las Vegas Raiders. Jonathan Abram is undergoing more tests Tuesday on his right shoulder. Early this week, excuse me. They are expecting him to. Are they expecting? No, they're not expecting him to actually show up. Raheem Mostert, MRI confirmed MCL sprain, unlikely to play in week 3. Brandon Scherff.
And he want money too.
Just the big one, Elizabeth. He's heading to IR. He'll be there for about 3 weeks. He's got a bit of a knee injury. Scherff, get well soon, Brandon.
Please.
Yeah. Haskins needs him.
Yes.
We need you bad, bro. He's multi-purpose on that O-line. Tavon Young out for the year. Tore his ACL during Sunday's win over the Texans and will miss the rest of the 2020 season. Dawson Knox is in concussion protocol. Trent Brown, he was ruled out for week 2. He's ruled out for week 3 as well. The Raiders are down to the 3rd string option behind Brown, with backup Sam Young also ruled out. So if you're sporting the Raiders defense, your safeties they're getting ready to pick up guys on the street working at In-N-Out Burgers. So you better get smart about that.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Kwiatkowski, I destroyed his name. Peck ruled out for week 3.
Peck.
And gentlemen, that's it for your injuries for right now.
Okay, I was about to ask you, any more superstars on that list? Because we can go ahead and get to the bottom of that joke. What was that, like 8 pages? Jesus.
I got paper cuts all on both hands.
Right.
I don't want to do that anymore. So I'm just kidding.
Right. Yeah, go ahead and take a swig. See, now y'all understand why we were so hurt this week. Because, man, not only did several of us lose some key players, but when we just think naturally about our teams, and how we're faring this year, it just had us in a state. But yeah, we're going to keep things rolling tonight. We're going to go ahead and hit Mr. Sense up so he can let us know who we should be starting and who we should sit.
Yes. It's your boy Sense. Sensible picks for this week. Let's get it kicked off with the for show picks. Those are the picks who I say roll with for this week. Let's start with Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Jacksonville. Fitzmagic is bound to happen sooner or later. What better opponent for that to happen to than the Jaguars, who was suspect against the pass? Expect a solid 300-plus yard and 4 TDs in this shootout.
Now, we got Park right there. So Fitzmagic, we know he has a great track record against some of the bum teams in the league, and this is certainly no exception. I mean, did you see some of the trash Gardner Minshew was talking, calling him old man? I respect my elders and things like that. So for this one, I agree with you because I think he's going to have a little bit more in the tank for Mr. Mustache. Let him know what's up.
I mean, I guess you got to get Ant for a game some way. I mean, so they go via facial hair. Moving on. James Clayton versus San Fran. With Sterling Shepard out and the San Fran defense decimated and ranked 23rd against the pass, expect him to have a breakout game. Kenyon Drake versus Detroit. After giving up a king's ransom of yards to Aaron Jones in Green Bay, the Lions are definitely going to lay down against the Cardinals with the combo of Murray and Drake.
That's right.
Ryan Tannehill versus Minnesota. After a horrendous showing versus Indianapolis, Tannehill will have a field day against Minnesota's poor excuse for a secondary.
What's happening with Minnesota, man? Even their defense is terrible.
Right. It looks bad.
Sus. Marcus Valdez-Scantling versus New Orleans. With Adams hobbled due to his hamstring, A-Rod will definitely be looking his way, which will result in a lot of points against this defense that is also poor against the pass.
Ooh.
And last but not least, and I love saying his name, I had my first time even hearing, I didn't even know he was on the team, but Laviska Shenault versus Miami. With Chark out, the looks will be divided between him and Keenan Cole. I'm thinking Laviska. I just love saying that name. Laviska gets the look.
Say it one more time, Sans.
Right.
It just sounds like a international man of mystery.
Mm-hmm.
No. All right, now for the ones to sit, which I call nah, son.
Nah, son.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire versus Baltimore. Baltimore's D is playing lights out, which doesn't present a favorable matchup for KC's running game. Matt Ryan versus Chicago. Matty Ice will be ice cold against the Chicago defense, and not in a good way, especially if Mac Daddy got something to say about it. New Orleans defense versus Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers. Enough said. Jarvis Landry versus Washington. Baker's more than likely to force the ball to ODB to make nice, which doesn't bode well for Mr. Blessing. So I don't see him getting much points. David Johnson versus Houston. As Prof mentioned, the Steelers' D is riding high. Expect them to carry this wave against a Texans offense that is devoid of weapons. And Jerry Jeudy versus Tampa Bay. This actually breaks my heart because Jeudy, like Jay Will said, is in the best position right now, being at wide receiver number 1 due to Sutton's injury. But Tampa Bay's D is no joke. They're ranked 14th against the pass.
That's right. I'm starting them this week.
And last but not least, well, maybe least, Chris Herndon against Indianapolis. I mean, it's the Jets.
Right. Now, I got to go back to David Johnson because I've been saying for the last couple of weeks about that Steelers defense, and I got them picked again, and I'm about to tell you about that in a minute. They are going to feast. And when I say David Johnson and their quarterback, Watson, not going to have a prayer in this game, it's just a shame to see how his fantasy numbers and his real numbers have tanked with the departure of his best friend, his main man, now in Arizona. And y'all know who I'm talking about. I don't even need to mention his name. But anyway, let's get to the power hour and the things that we need to hear tonight. So I don't think I'm going to shock you with some of these, but for some reason, if you don't have these people starting, it's time to go ahead and make that change now. I think you have about 5 minutes to do that before you get cut off in your fantasy leagues before game time tonight. So our top dogs for the week. Kyler Murray is no surprise quarterback for the Cardinals. Against the Lions, this human video game joystick will juke, wiggle, and slide his way onto another great performance as the Cards go 3-0. The numbers will keep piling up for him. Russell Wilson, Danger Russ, will show his moxie again in Big D. This is not the Atlanta Falcons, and the Hawks will be thirsty for a runaway victory. Russ will run, pass, and even kick if he has to in order to rack up 30-plus points in your leagues. Jackson and Mahomes, need I say more? This game will be thoroughly entertaining with many fireworks by both QBs. Certainly the stat sheets for both QBs will fill and highlights will keep coming. Sleepers for the week. Darius Leonard, linebacker. In defensive leagues like ours, Darius Leonard is a tackling machine and can cover tight ends well out of the backfield. Against the Jets, Jets, Jets this week, he is also a prime sleeper since he should be or have a dominant game featuring 2 opponents that no one cares about. This is a sleeper game for sure. Darren Waller, tight end Raiders. This dude is a monster. He just keeps having monster game after monster game, and he still gets ignored by some fantasy leagues. Do you think Chucky and Carr would be so bullish about him if he was not the real deal? He has dominated opposing defenses for 2 weeks, including the Saints defense, which is filled with Pro Bowlers and an All-Pro. Stop sleeping and pay attention. If you have him, use him. Joshua Kelly, running back, Chargers. It seems that Kelly and Herbert will be attached to the hip as rookies for a very long time and will rely heavily on each other to make their offense hum. Some consider him risky flex option, but with 20-plus touches, he should certainly get more looks. Quick hits. That Pittsburgh Steelers defense, again, I said it in week 1. This nasty, stingy, hungry defense produced the most turnovers and sacks last season, and they continue in that effort this year. They will feast on the Texans this week. Watson will hit the turf a few times, and Johnson will have a decent game, but nothing significant. Fast and furious for Bud Dupree and this defense. Russell Gage, wide receiver, Atlanta. The rich always gets richer. Not only does Matty Ice have Jones, well, maybe not this week, but he has Ridley, but he also has this great upstart in Gage, who actually has more fantasy points than Julio Jones. So think about that for a minute. I just set that right there. CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver, Cowboys. Each week, he just gets better. Dak is starting to understand the real talent of this kid and will look for him more. He will make an impact on the game against the Hawks and will show flashes late as Amari Cooper is held in check. The quiet storm, my man, Josh Allen, who has been racking points up for me the last 2 weeks. Well, the blaze continues. The confidence level is up, and he's reading defenses much better and will go after the secondary of the Rams. They will have a plan for Donald to slow him down enough to keep the Bills' offense rolling. Not about a win, but about performance. He can handle this test. He will be silent and smooth in his play this week against a much better defense. Miles Sanders, running back, Eagles. With the line and Wentz in dire straits, the run and screen game will be in full effect. Look for Sanders to jumpstart this offense and open up some opportunities for the two-headed tight end to get loose. Terry McLaurin, wide receiver, Washington football team. With Haskins and Scary Terry taking notes from how Burrow passed all over the Browns defense in the second half of their game against the Bengals, look for Haskins to outduel Burrow again, like he did in college, to get some respect behind his name, as his main weapon will help him to do and get those big shots throughout the game. Closers, none other than that bad Aaron Rodgers. He will have a final possession to win the game against New Orleans, and that hurts, but enough said there. Leonard Fournette, running back, Tampa Bay. This is big boy football, and Fournette will be punishing down the stretch to gobble up each yards and gobble up the clock. Backs like him get stronger at the end of the game, so look for him to be able to be that workhorse for Tom Brady. Alvin Kamara. The game will be a track meet against Green Bay, but Kamara will have a big game in a back and forth matchup all the way through the end of the fourth. So I'm telling you, if you take some of that keen advice right there and just put them injuries to the side, you hear what Sense told you, who needs to start and who needs to sit. So tonight, if you got people playing, make sure you got your lineup straight. I'm telling you, this will be another great week of NFL football. Yes, we're going to get some more injuries because we know no preseason, no real off season. So things are going to happen. But we truly hope that your fantasy leagues are not decimated by any more big time injuries. So fellas, that's our show for tonight. We got any parting wisdom for the folks before we get out of here?
Yeah, mine is kind of two-sided. Number one, I don't like that you just mentioned Alvin Kamara's name because he's the reason why I lost. I was up, thank you, and then all of a sudden he decides to have a beast game. So we ain't friends right now. But
Jay Wills, he got a question for you. He done hit you on the screen. Go ahead.
Or Tannehill. I actually say Tannehill because, I mean, even though Philly is decimated, I mean, their secondary is still like top level. Okay. And I don't see Burrow getting, much burn in the passing game. They're going to have to rely on the run. So, yeah, I would start Tannehill.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to hold you to that.
Oh, please do.
Yes, sir.
But my second part was just, with all of these injuries taking place, definitely the waiver wire is your friend. Mm-hmm. Definitely take heed to what we have been saying as far as who to pick up. I mean, the Giants, you got Devontae Freeman. If you haven't picked him up, please do so. You got Laviska Shenault. I just want to say that name again. And Keenan Cole for Jacksonville, so pick them up. Nick Mullins, even though I don't give them much chance against that Giants D, he will give you some points, especially if you're in need of a quarterback. So definitely use the waiver wires this week.
Amen. Who y'all got tonight, Dolphins or Jaguars?
Do we really care? No, I'm gonna give it to Miami. I think, like I said, Fitzmagic is gonna show out tonight, and I see a high scoring game because they're gonna definitely air it out. But I see Miami coming out on top.
Yeah, you got quite a few people picking up Minshew though tonight since he's been having some success.
I know.
Go ahead, Jay Wills.
I plan on watching water dry as I pour it on the floor. I'm going to maybe watch the first quarter, and then I'm going to find something much more interesting. How quickly can I peel this boiled egg? You know,
we could get to a show. We could get to a show without him mentioning the Lake Show. We know what you're going to be watching tonight. So, Jay Wills, that's actually going to be a better game for you to watch than this Dolphins.
I didn't want to say it loud, but that is definitely what I'm doing.
Excellent. So, everybody, just remember this. Don't be afraid to trade in your leagues. You know, there's some players that people want. You just heard Jay Wills mention that he might want Jordan Reed. So if I snatch him and then put him on the trading block, he might give me something that I want for him. Yeah, so you never know. If you're real heavy in a position like wide receiver or running back, and you know your opponents need something to throw in their flex position, or their main wide receiver just got hurt or running back just got hurt, put on IR for the season, that's when you can dangle that trade bait out there and get something in return. So don't be afraid to trade. It's there for a reason. Utilize.
Don't fall for no okie dokes either, because you know it might look good on the surface. That might be them trying to dump some people off just to get your good player. So keep that third eye open.
That's right. Do your research. Don't just take stuff on face value thinking, oh, they must be good and they got a knee injury. Pay attention, y'all. Look at that wire. Make sure you are staying up to date. And then tune in next week and we'll give you the scoop. Absolutely. All right, fellas? All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. God bless you and good night.